Hey, what's up, Internet? Troy to the Max Extreme here.
Ghost Hunter Dave.
And Dinosaur Neil. And together we are Imperius Rex-Men.
In the summer of 2019, Jonathan Hickman, from our own Hickmania, same guy,
what?
He shook up the Marvel Universe when he was given the keys to the Mutant Kingdom, relaunching the entire X-Men series with his Two That Are One miniseries, House of X and Powers of X, which I later learned is pronounced Powers of 10, dubbed HOXPOX,
Yes.
respectively. So to say that this took the comic world by storm would be an understatement. Troy, do you remember when this came out?
I do.
You got back into reading X-Men.
I got into reading X-Men, and I don't ever do that.
No, not if you can help it. Not if I don't spring it on you. But it got everyone reading X-Men and reading like weekly comics again, because this was a big thing. Everyone was speculating. They're trying to figure out where this weird, misshapen mutant thing was going.
Yes.
And it's all been leading to this, as
It's
we
all
found
been
out.
leading to this.
2 years later, it's been leading to this. So from HOXPOX to Dawn of X to X of Swords to Reign of X, we now invite you, loyal viewer, to join us in celebration for the first ever Hellfire Gala, which we will be building to later this month. Oh my God, what a time to be alive.
God. Yes.
You guys got your gala attire picked out?
Oh my. I've got a fur trapper. Oh. Ready to get me something good. I just said make me anything.
I've got something in the works too.
Really?
Something outside of the casual attire that, I would wear for a show like this. But before we get too far into this, we're going to take a look back at where it all began, and to get us up to speed on what's been happening prior to this massive relaunch, we've partnered with a friend of the show and X-Men historian, the Uncanny Dayspring, host of the Power of X-Men podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Hold on. I'm establishing a psychic connection.
Okay.
Okay. I've got it. We're good to go.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on. I'm like huge stands of all of you, and I can't wait to talk about X-Men.
So thank you for joining us. On your podcast, you've been fortunate enough to talk with so many like-minded individuals across the world about all things X-Men. Creators, artists, writers, video game developers, fans, you name it. What do you think it is about the X-Men characters that appeal to so many people out there?
Well, I think it's because so many people see themselves in characters like Wolverine, Storm, Jean, Cyclops. They see themselves reflected in them, and they see their struggle for acceptance. And also, I think when you're really young and you're reading comic books and you're still getting an idea of who you are and you feel like an outcast, the idea that there's a school with other people who are just waiting to have you and to accept you, it's just really appealing for young readers. At least it was for me when I was growing up.
Extraordinary.
Man.
We did it. It's all been leading to this. So thank you for collaborating with us on this event. Tune in to the Power of X-Men podcast for further in-depth coverage of the event itself, along with loads of great X-Men content, including a guest spot from Troy and myself, set to air whenever all the other important interviews are done and over with.
Yes.
Now, we'll catch up with Dayspring a bit later, but before you go, can you fill us in on what was happening in the X-Men universe prior to Hickman taking the reins and kicking things off with HOXPOX?
So the X books prior to HOXPOX were in a very curious position. First of all, they had just relaunched Uncanny X-Men with Uncanny X-Men Disassembled. And that sort of saw Kitty, Jean, and Storm at the forefront of the X-Men and sort of leading the team. But what happened was that they seemingly died when Nate Gray came back. but Nate actually put them in a pocket universe, and that was the Age of X-Men crossover. But at the same time, Cyclops and Wolverine had come back to life. So they're not in the Age of X-Men. They're actually in the real world. And mutant relations were at an all-time low. And mutants were just dying left and right. So right before HOXPOX, the mutants that were in the Age of X-Men pocket universe actually came back to the real reality. And they were all reunited. And that's kind of like what the setup was for HOXPOX.
Terrific. Thanks for dropping in and sharing some of that X-Men insight. We'll catch up later this month as the gala grows closer, but we know you have to run, you know, party planning and all that. Mm-hmm. So take care, and as we all know, Magneto was right. So HOXPOX, everybody. Yeah. We all read it again here. You read it for the first time.
Yes.
And even before we get into the story, because this is a lot of story.
Yes.
Initial thoughts?
I absolutely loved it. I'm not even going to beat around the bush here on this one. It is the best X-Men book I've ever read.
Go!
Wow! Coming out hot! I'm coming out. I gotta come out hot. I gotta say, but it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
We're gearing up for something good here. Something special.
Oh, God, we're wrenching it. We're wrenching it all.
Oh. Yeah. Troy, your thoughts? Avid X-Men non-fan?
Yes. This turned me around to X-Men.
Oh!
You know? Like, there's only a hot few titles in there that I'll even go back and reread. There's like Morrison's New X-Men.
Right. Yes.
There's Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. I say that with a grunt.
Can we say Cassidy's?
Yes, John Cassidy's Astonishing
Can we just say it was entirely his?
And there's this. Those are my top 3 that I'll probably go back and reread or look at again. And this, I think, blows them all away.
We talked a little before the show. I feel like all of those, Cassidy's excluded, so Morrison's and this. I think the reason they resonate is because they're about, like, big ideas. It's not just, like, here the X-Men fight the Sentinels, and here the X-Men fight Juggernaut. Like, they're not about fighting. It's about, like, moving them forward as a property.
Yeah.
And boy, does this one move them forward.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's off the map. It's starting a whole new something else.
We're the future, Charles, not the They no longer matter.
It is something else.
So this opens up with a collection of mutants planting flowers all across the globe and beyond. The moon and Mars even. Which may be a little hint to something coming up during the gala. The old planet-sized X-Men.
Oh, Elon Musk?
Nope.
Shut up.
Nope. Our viewership just dropped. Not only are they flowers, they're Krakoan flowers. Which brings up our first question. What is Krakoa? Yeah, I will also accept what. And what's up with these flowers?
Yes. Well, we can dive into Krakoa kind of first. The flower's the byproduct of them, but Krakoa is like, it's like the new Genosha, but it's like the new place for mutants to go and live in harmony that they've kind of constructed themselves.
A living island.
Yes.
That's actually a mutant.
Yes.
The island itself is alive. And this is way back from, like, Uncanny X-Men.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or that giant-sized X-Men.
Okay.
They fight Krakoa in that.
I don't think I've ever realized that.
Yeah, it's quite good.
What?
I read it not
Nice.
too long ago.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, Krakoa's back.
Look at him. He's pulling it all together.
Yeah,
already.
Get a load of this. You got Krakoa. And these flowers that they're growing are 2 things. They are like interdimensional gates where the only mutants can teleport anywhere that the receiving Krakoan flower is opened and planted. And they're also a pharmaceutical that the X-Men are growing. It's like a miracle drug for humanity.
Yeah.
And the X-Men and the mutant community are giving it to them and really sticking them with the price tag.
It is their bargaining chip, essentially.
Yeah, it's their peace offering where they're like, we don't need to do this. Like, we can just take whatever we want, but this is our olive branch.
Yeah.
We're humoring you with this.
My favorite flower there's like 3 different things that they do, but there's one that just says we'll increase your life by 5 years, and I found that one the most funny for some reason. It's like, just 5?
Yeah,
it's like exactly 5? Like, what?
You can set your watch by it.
Yeah. But the other flowers will like cure most mental illnesses and also like cancers and things like that in the human race.
Yeah, so they're shaking it up already, right out the gates.
Oh, right.
So the basic premise of this, outside of the flowers, it's a lot about flowers, but it's also about other things.
Yes.
Come back to flowers.
That's right. Everything is going to come full circle to flowers. But mutants in this are finally rising up to take their rightful place in the world. They've established their own sovereign nation where all mutants are welcome and they no longer feel like they have to answer to human laws, which is a big step for them.
Big step.
Especially considering they've been walking on eggshells since they first came into the existence, basically.
Yeah.
Like, saving people, doing everything they can, but like, okay, whatever you want. Hated and feared, I know, we got it.
Okay, I'm out.
Yep.
I think we should also touch on, in this timeline too, Genosha has been massacred. Like, they are they're on their final straws. Like, a lot of them have been killed by the man-machine agenda.
Yes, and not only that, but then also Wanda Maximoff has depowered many of them as well.
Yeah.
So, like, in the continuity, they're down to, like, a handful of mutants, essentially.
Right.
But, we got something in store for us. There's going to be a lot more mutants.
Oh, boy.
One of the 3 tenets of mutantdom.
Yep.
Of
Make
Krakoa.
more mutants.
Make more mutants. Get fucking.
Yep. So says me, Nightcrawler. Get fucking.
Religious activists. But yeah, they're Charles with Magneto in tow, hand in hand, they basically say, humans of planet Earth, while you slept, the world changed. Which is amazing. There's a lot of great quotes like that he just gives a full-page Hickman spread to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this is good stuff.
Yeah. So this whole setup here is not necessarily something that's... I would say mutants working together is not necessarily completely foreign. Because Charles Xavier from the beginning is just like, we should work together. We need to pull together on this. It's just that this time, he's being kind of a dick about it, and it's working.
They've had enough shit at this point. And the reason for this, like, massive paradigm shift falls on the shoulders of one Moira Mctaggart.
Moira.
Human scientist, one-time lover of Charles Xavier, mother to Proteus, I believe.
Okay.
And as it turns out, a big old mutant.
Shoot us a mutant!
A very influential mutant.
Yeah.
We learn her mutant power is reincarnation, and she is in the current HOXPOX timeline, she is on her 10th life. 10th and final, possibly, life.
Look out.
And she has existed 9 times prior, and every time she dies, she's reborn with the full memory of every life that she experienced, and she's come to the realization that, like, this is not going to end well for anybody, ever. Like, she's tried everything. She tried to cure mutation, and was given a rude awakening by Mystique and Destiny that you don't do that, and if you do it again, we're going to hunt you down and kill you. And then they burn her alive and say, don't forget this feeling.
Yep.
She has tried teaming up with Magneto to no avail. She tried teaming up with Apocalypse, which went a bit better.
Got pretty far.
Still didn't work out. Still didn't reach the finish line. And by the end of it, she realizes, like, I gotta tell Charles right from the start. And she meets him on a park bench back in, like, year 1 of X, essentially. And she's like, Charles, read my mind. And he does, and he's like, oh.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And she says the fateful words to him, it's not a dream if it's real. And then that just spurs Xavier to round up his best men. And they realize, like, we gotta unite as a people, because no matter what, we're gonna be wiped out by man-machines, machine men, anything. So they work together and they decide, like, we just need to, we're the rightful inheritors of the earth.
Right.
And we've been, like, pussyfooting around it for too long. Like, we've been humoring these people. Like, and it's not going to work out for anyone. So we're just going to do it.
Yep.
We're just going to take it. We're gonna be nice about it.
Yeah.
We'll give them some stuff, but like we're just gonna take it.
Honestly-
And there's nothing you can do to stop us.
Right. And honestly, their bargaining chip is honestly the thing they're fighting for is it's a pretty small area. Like it's like not like the whole Earth. They just want this. Just leave us alone. We're trying this again. Just leave us alone.
So all the multiple timelines of Moira's death, I don't know what happens in this. Like, is the world restarted? Like, are these parallel realities? Are we even in the same reality that every other X-Men story has taken place? Apparently, editorial says it is the main reality that we're in. Her 10th life. So all those other ones, I guess, were like alternate Earths or whatever. So as we talked about, this book goes big. Very big.
Very big.
Especially the Powers of 10 miniseries, which goes through 4 different timelines. There, as we said, there's X-Men Year 1, 10, 100, and 1000. In the scope and the scale of the looming enemy that's like the main antagonist throughout this whole thing, the Phalanx, I believe, is astronomical. It's so large. Like, I had to put the book down and think about it for a second. I was like, my God. It's like bigger than galaxies.
It is.
It's essentially like a hive mind of machines. That just want to acquire all these other galaxies. Not even like worlds. It's like entire solar system.
And that's only if they deem it worthy of gaining the knowledge. Or else they just like, well, you're just dead now.
You're done.
Forget about it.
But and also you're dead anyway, because we're gonna kill you and just absorb your knowledge. They said like in the full text pages, like, this creature is objectively God. It is what we think of as God. It's not like God. Like, by all definition, it is God.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insanity.
So, like, that is what the stakes are in the far, far future. Which Wolverine and Moira are still alive during at some point in this, as we find out. And that is her 6th and hidden secret life that we find out. The whole book, we kind of think it's this way far future, but it's actually just another life she had, where she lived thousands of years into the future, gained all the knowledge she needed to die, and then come back and, like, try it again. Turns out that didn't work. Try it 3 more times and we got it. Stick with it, Moira. What a pitch for this thing.
I can only imagine the strings attached to, like, different things, and Hickman just like, and you see this, and it goes this way, and look at all these timelines, and these circles, and these graphs, and this is what a phalanx is. Like,
I don't take him as that type of guy, because I followed him on Twitter. He talks a lot about soccer. I feel like this is purely work for him. He probably comes in, draws it, says, like, Powers of X, and then everyone's like, and then he's like, parentheses, 10. They're like, oh! And then when he leaves, they're like, so, like, is that anything?
So what?
I'm glad he's right. I'm glad he's writing this. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Just give him whatever he wants. He's gonna fix X-Men.
I can only imagine looking at a soccer ball and all the little diagonals on it. He's got, like, timeline 1, this, and it all meets and somehow meets back at the original.
Oh my God. Maybe, are we playing soccer?
I think so.
We starting up a soccer team?
You bet.
All right. Like, everything we just talked about, there's that. There's all that. But then there's, like, a million other seeds, no pun intended, that he plants that just carry the title on for the foreseeable future. Like, we're 2 years out now. And there's so much that they've only scratched the surface of. Which, holy shit, what a gift Hickman just gave to them. The fact that he could leave at any time, and they still have, like, 10, 20 years worth of storylines that they could explore.
If they can interpret his data.
Right. Well, he left a lot of graphs and diagrams. But, like, and he did it in 12 issues. Could have probably even made it tighter if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Cut some of those graphs in half. There's a lot of white space on those pages. So a couple other things that he establishes in this. There are humans that are mechanically evolving. So they're against, like, natural evolution that the mutants are taking, and they're like, nah, we can do that better. So they're technologically enhancing themselves, and those go forward into the future and just cause a big old disturbance.
Oh, yeah.
There's machines gaining sentience as they're wont to do, and waging war on both the humans and the mutants into the future. So you gotta stop that.
Little three-way dance going on
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's right. The growing threat of the phalanx. It's going to be devouring everything in the galaxy. And then we didn't talk on it yet, but this is a big one. This is a huge one, actually. One of the biggest takeaways in the entire HOXPOX. The Mutant Resurrection Protocol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thoughts?
This, I almost, when I first read it, was kind of hesitant on, because I'm like, oh shit, it makes...
about this.
Yeah, I don't know about this, Johnny boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a...
He looks up from his soccer ball. You just wait, Troy.
I ended up liking it quite a bit. It's like a huge addition to the X-Men lore. That it's like...
But somehow feels perfectly at home in the X-Men lore as well.
The only thing I'm like, so then where are stakes? But then it doesn't... You still feel them.
I think there still is stakes.
Yeah.
Most certainly. My thing, I loved the inclusion of this because I think it made the desperation of like Charles and Magneto like almost to the point where they're just as bad as ever, like almost to the point where they're going to do anything they can to make it happen, much like the machines, much like the men.
Yeah.
Like, so it's all just this big thing of people doing just terrible things to get to the future they want.
I never made the connection between like machines are interchangeable, and by the end of this, the mutants are interchangeable essentially.
Right.
So what this is Charles Xavier has been basically downloading and copying the minds of every mutant on the planet. That's why he's wearing that giant Cerebro helmet through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's doing this at all times. And that is so if any mutant dies or has died, they can resurrect them with the combined powers of five other mutants who alone, their powers were like, that's a weird power. That's inconsequential.
Eggman especially.
Yes, but they realize, like, if they all work together, they can create a new body or a husk of any fallen X-Men, and then Professor X downloads the consciousness into it, so it makes an exact copy of them from whenever that consciousness was copied.
Yeah.
And I also love, because, like, if you die, you are dead. I mean, like, they'll make another one of you, but you, who has died, is not coming back.
Yeah.
So, like, the stakes are real, and by the end of this, all of the original X-Men are dead, and are just a copy of themselves.
Yeah.
And that is how it goes for the foreseeable future,
and
too.
who knows which version they're on.
Yeah, they're on, like, number 11 of Wolverine.
Yeah.
So that is a lot to wrap your head around there, where you're just like, oh, they just bring them back. But it's like, well, I mean, not really.
Well, they haven't. There's one point where like the main X-Men go off to destroy a mother mold thing in space.
Yeah.
And
this was like the biggest
This
issue.
is my favorite part of the book.
It's so good.
They're on a suicide mission, essentially.
And they know it.
Yep.
And Wolverine and Nightcrawler have a interesting conversation around it too, where they're talking about like, what's it like when you die? Like, I don't know. Well, if you see me on the other side,
I'll be welcoming you with open arms,
exactly.
my
And
friend.
Nightcrawler teleports Wolverine into space. They all get incinerated and die. It's just insane. But it's like
as he destroys the last
thing
that they need to do.
And like that conversation, knowing that they're all going to get revived is weird because like those entities, are feeling like, oh man, this sucks. We're gonna be, we're dying.
They're still feel
like
all
they,
of it.
exactly. So like it kind of feels weird when they're all brought back to life and it's all this whole big ceremony.
Celebration.
Yeah, and Storm's calling them all out, and it's insane. And even Charles gets emotional. Like he's just bawling his eyes out.
Like, I feel the death of every one of them.
It's such a weird. God, it's such a weird thing to wrap your mind around, and it made me feel like, obviously you want to root for the mutants, but it made me feel dirty about like what they're doing.
Yeah. Especially someone from Nightcrawler's perspective who's like a Catholic in it. You wonder, like, what is his thought on this? Like, is every version of them going to heaven? You know?
Oh, shit.
Are there like 12 Nightcrawlers up in heaven waiting to welcome Wolverine?
Oh, Kurt! Hey, Kurt!
And I think some of that gets explored a little bit later, too.
Okay.
Because he's got like his own kind of title. I think it's called Way of X right now that's publishing. that's more like Nightcrawler focused. And there's even some Hickman X-Men, which we'll read in the next episode, that deals with like Nightcrawler's thoughts on the entire culture of Krakoa and how he doesn't always see like eye to eye with everything they're doing. But I'm glad you mentioned how it makes you feel dirty, because I'm dressed for that conversation. No, this entire time I read this, like we were reading it issue to issue, we had no idea where it was going. The entire time I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, the X-Men got it pretty good right now, huh? Like, that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen for very long. Like, what is going to happen to upset this?
Yeah.
And on that same page, like, I'm getting a really Sinister vibe from this whole thing, too. And not just Mr. Sinister, who is fantastic in this, but like a downright insidious vibe from Charles. Like, his face is always covered. He's always kind of smiling and got that, like, you can't see his eyes, but you know there's a glint in it.
Oh, yeah.
He's working with, like, Apocalypse and Magneto and all these people.
Even bring back Sebastian Shaw and, like, all of them guys, like, that are just terrible.
Yeah, you're just like, so what is this building towards? Is it, like, as benign as they say it is, or is this something else?
Well, even to get into the point of, like, the deeper, like, grossness of Charles Xavier in this, like, what they do to Sabretooth. So they hold, like, a council... because Sabretooth killed a bunch of guys, he broke the mutant laws. Or some,
Number 2.
Number 2 of the mutant laws.
Don't kill humans.
Don't kill humans. And Sabretooth
Don't give them another reason.
Exactly. But
We've only got so many drugs to peddle.
So they had him in prison, the humans did, and the mutants come in and were like, we're taking him. He's our jurisdiction. We're going to do what they want. And Charles Xavier, like, they just get banished. And it's just like, you sit in a dark eternity, you know you're there forever until I feel like you've learned your lesson, essentially.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God damn, Charles.
Think about that. Yeah.
And then, like,
That is
Krakoa
unsettling.
just sucks him into a hole.
Yeah.
His new look, right, is not that far off from a look that we've already seen, which maybe gives you already
Some feels.
Sinister vibes
Yeah.
already, and he looks like the Maker from
Richards.
the Ultimate Universe.
Yes. Evil Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Very much so. Even down to like the black jumpsuit.
Right.
And the fancy
And the
headgear.
big helmet.
Yeah. So there's like a connotation there, whether it's intentional or not. I mean, Hickman has visual themes. There's an albino character in everything. And now apparently a guy in a helmet with a sleek bod. But yeah, that is exactly what I thought too. I'm like, God, I'm getting a big Maker vibe from this. Another thing that I thought was interesting is they basically give Mr. Sinister, if we talk about Mr. Sinister for a
We've been
second,
saying it enough.
free reign to like, go crazy with the genetic modification. Everything you've been doing, keep at it. We're funding it. We're rooting for you. Yeah. Because in the future, we find out, like, these are some of the last mutants alive. These, like, spliced DNA mutants that he's created in, I can't remember what they call, but they're on Mars. They mention again, on Mars, they've got, like, these growing factories.
Yeah.
And we get a glimpse in the future issues in Powers of 10, where we get, I think it's Rasputin is her name, and she's like a cross of like Colossus, Ileana, and like 4 other mutant DNAs. Yeah. There's like a Red Cardinal who's a cross of like Nightcrawler and a few others. Yeah. So you know, like, okay, so Mr. Sinister, whatever he's doing, like, that is going to pay off big time. And then in the weird, like, all text pages, we also find out that, like, at one point they decided, like, Sinister's a dick, and they execute him for his crimes. So they give you so much in this that you just, like, breeze over. And then, like, especially reading this 2 years later, I'm like, oh shit, that hasn't happened yet. Like, this is probably gearing up for something. There's so much info in this where, like, it could just continue paying off for years.
Yeah,
we know he plays the long game.
God, does he ever? I feel like this could be his longest.
Really?
But I still get a lot of Avengers and New Avengers vibes from this, too. And I mean, obviously, it's the same writer. But even in, like, how the story is structured, where it's not like it's about a character, it's just like an all-encompassing view of everything happening. Right. And it's completely, like, unchronological. There aren't really main characters outside of, like, Charles and Moira and Magneto, I guess. The X-Men are almost secondary. I would say they have, like, equal page time with Orcis villains of this, who is, like, the smartest humans on
Yeah.
Earth from all
Like
varieties.
a combination of AIM, shield,
Hydra,
hammer,
everybody.
everybody.
And they've like taken over the Forge, which is a space station that he established in, I think, Fantastic Four, his run.
Yeah.
And that is where they're creating that master mold that the X-Men eventually have to like make their suicide run to.
Yeah.
To destroy it. Because they've realized that, like, based on what Moira says, that is like the turning point where the machines take the upper hand and every future is going to end the same way if they don't shut that down. And then by the end of it, they shut it down, but we're not quite sure, like, shit, was them shutting it down the turning point? Like, I don't know, but like, it's still not looking good for them.
Right. So this book, altogether, both of these, both HOXPOX, you know, both the things in this. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Slow and steady.
They dragging a chain around upstairs.
Oh. Bob Marley.
Oh, man.
Wait,
that.
Bob Marley?
Just singing his folk song. What's his name?
Dragging a chain man.
What did he do?
Jacob Marley.
Bob Marley up there on the chain. Oh man, you get one of your own Imperius Rex bottle openers. Check out our Patreon.
So this book has some of the most interesting things in between issues, or like the pages that don't have art, just the extra exposition stuff.
Yeah.
I found myself so enthralled with all of
right.
that.
Well, you're a graphic designer.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a past
Oh,
life.
oh,
I just reminded you.
oh God, I'm coming. Like, not only are they fantastically laid out and designed, good job there, but it's like some of the most, like, it ties everything together. Would you have to read it? Not necessarily, but like, it just makes everything, the world, so much easier to comprehend, because
Yes.
it goes through all the definitions of what, like, the master mold comes from a mother mold, which comes from this, and it lays them all out in a way you can understand visually, and you can still like read a bit of it. And that is just, that helped me out in like just kind of getting the world built so much more than, because a lot of times if there's a lot like pages of text, like Alan Moore pages of text in between stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna skip 4 pages here.
I was thinking the same thing, where I read it initially, and on the second read, I was like, am I going to need to reread all this? But I found myself, like, completely engrossed in it. I'm like, oh, man, I'm glad I am. It's actually going down a lot easier than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And it also shoulders so much weight of him having to, like, naturally give this in a conversation or
I was
something.
gonna
Where I'm
say
like,
that
this
exact
is
same
way
thing.
better.
Yeah.
You just, like, give you what you need in, like, a textbook page, and then move on. And, like, that's established. We know. Keep the story going forward.
Yeah. Another thing I like in this, and this is the visual department, is that everything around the X-Men on Krakoa and everything that they do is all organic.
Yeah.
Right? It's all circles
Plant
and
circuitry.
There's no angles.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all organic. Where on the other side, Man Machine is all sleek, clean angles, all that kind of stuff. So just like visually, it's juxtaposition right next to each other as well.
And it's kind of an interesting choice, because prior to this, X-Men were always very, like, future forward.
Yeah.
So they had this sleek look.
Yeah.
And now he's, like, bringing them back to their roots. Second, no pun intended. And it's going, like, organic, natural evolution. Like, it would be more, like, environmental. It wouldn't be, like, man-made machine.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea that, like, the X-Men are, like, very, like, environmentally conscious.
Yeah, I also like that too.
They're like a free love, free spirit, like almost like a hippie commune.
Yeah.
Like a very advanced hippie commune.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the fact that Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean seemingly have this very, like, polyamorous relationship there.
Yeah.
And then Cyclops also has, like, Emma on the side.
Yeah.
And everyone is, like, cool with it. There's a moment where, like, after they are resurrected and they've completed their mission and, like, everything's looking great for them, they're celebrating, they're having Dazzler's having a concert.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, everyone just comes up, like, wraps their arms around each other, like, shares a beer. Jean goes over and shares a beer with Emma. And they're just like, look at us.
Yeah, we've done it.
Yeah, we're having a great time here.
Nothing could go wrong.
Yeah. And then you see Eric and Charles overlooking it, and they're just like, yep, you know, we finally did it. And it feels great.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy for the X-Men. Because all I read about them is them in turmoil. And it's like, I really like them just, like, being their best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a moment, too, where it's like, you have, like, this, like, they have, like, a newfound, like, confidence, too. There's a part, like, towards the beginning where, actually, it's the part where Sabretooth gets captured. Like, he and Mystique are, like, trying to recover data so they can find something in the mother mold or whatnot.
Yeah.
They capture him, and, like, one of those Krakoan portal opens up, and the Fantastic Four catch him before they can get in there. And then Scott Summers Cyclops walks out, and it's like the coolest Cyclops has ever been in his entire life.
Cyclops is great in this.
He's so good. And he comes out like and he's just like, hey guys, hey Sue, hey Ben, hey all you guys.
Yeah.
They're coming with me, and there's going to be no questions about it, kind of a thing. And he's just like, he's the cockiest son of a bitch in it. And it's so awesome.
And then as he leaves, he's like, hey, and when your son wises up and wants to join his real family, because Franklin's a mutant, he's like, we're waiting for him.
Yeah, he's so cool. He is so cool. A lot. Yeah. And all of them have that feeling like, yeah, like we can really get behind this and we're feeling good about it, and like nobody on Earth, even the supers on Earth, can't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
So cool.
Real cocksure about themselves.
Yes.
Oh.
When they finally do band all the mutants together there, and they're like, all past sins forgiven. Like, we're in this together. Mm-hmm. They bring in, like, Apocalypse, everybody, and they're, like, not quite sure how he's going to take this. And they're like, so, you in? And he's like, you finally become what I intended you to be. I could not be more proud. And he just, like, comes in. He doesn't give him a hug, but, like, he gives him as much of an apocalypse embrace as one would get from him.
And that's one handshake.
Kiss on these apocalypse.
Rubbing them together. What's up with his lips? Can we talk about it?
Do they go to his ears? Is it this whole thing?
If he wasn't named Apocalypse, would that mutant manifestation have occurred?
Can you open it up like a snake and swallow anything?
I would hope so.
That'd be rad.
That would
He's
be
been
good.
holding off on this, and then you see like,
I've unveiled my third mutant ability.
The
A
time
big
is
mouth.
now.
Ow. I can swallow just about anything.
It's gonna come full circle. He's gonna swallow the phalanx. He's the only mutant. Did you catch the moment where Magneto says to Charles, they should have killed us when they had the chance?
Yes! I loved it.
You should have killed me when you had the chance!
What a great addition.
That was fantastic.
And I felt like he turned around just to say that line, too. Like, they're like, oh, this movie was great. We're going to pencil that in.
Once more, can we talk about Mr. Sinister?
Yes!
Please.
Please!
Yes.
It is the best interpretation of Mr. Sinister. Extremely flamboyant and fantastic.
I really dug it.
Yeah.
When they step in and he sees Magneto and he's like, oh, a cape.
Yeah.
I love that cape. Why don't I have a cape?
And I love his assistant who's like, I thought you would have a cape.
I
Well,
always-
why didn't you say so?
Execute
him!
Immediately torn to pieces.
Well, also, one of my favorite kind of weird things was Nimrod. So there is a future with Nimrod in it. And, like, it's the big hulking one. Because there's another one far in the future where he's like a floating head that follows, like, the librarian around.
Yeah.
But where he's
So
like...
much to comprehend there.
He's like he's the Sentinel version Nimrod. And he's, like, still really sassy for some reason. So they ended up capturing a couple of the mutants. And they were like... we should execute him. He's like, oh, can I execute them, please? And we're like, yeah, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
I thought that was just hilarious. And just, I was like, I don't even know how to read. I don't know how to read you right now. Like, this is so weird. Very fancy, though. I liked it.
The moment where they go on their suicide mission to Orcis. Basically, like, this is probably the best Scott Summers has ever been. Where he's, like, talking with Professor X and Magneto, and Professor X is like, Scott, you're gonna need to take a team, go up there, and just shut this bitch down. And he's like, it sounds pretty risky. He's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be risky. And Scott's like, does it need to be done? He's like, yes. He's like, then it'll be done. It's like, They all go out there. Nightcrawler teleports them around to these different structures that they have to basically unhook to just send the Master Mold thing hurtling into the sun or whatever. And they're doing it all, and then Mystique is killed before she can get to the last one. And Wolverine and Nightcrawler are like, we can do it. They basically realize, like, we can teleport onto the structure, but we're literally, like, within reaching distance of the sun. So we're gonna die immediately. And they're like, we gotta do it. So they go out there, Nightcrawler's burned up immediately, and then Wolverine just hacks it to pieces and then gets incinerated.
Yeah.
You're like, my God.
And not only that,
heroism.
right before that even, Archangel and another mutant die before
Just
even
blown up.
everything gets even put together, because the humans are just as desperate to keep this thing going as the mutants are to destroy it. So they're blowing themselves up just to keep it going.
Yeah, and even Cyclops is killed off there. He's like running. He's like, Jean, I'm gonna help you, because she's like hurtling towards space.
Yeah.
She's keeping a psychic connection with Xavier, so they can keep up to know if they succeeded or failed. And she's spiraling off, and then Cyclops gets like pinned down, and he's like, Jean, I'm not gonna be able to get you. Boom! And he's dead. And then she's like screaming, and all these Sentinels are arriving, and they're just tearing into her ship and like reaching in and grabbing her, and she's screaming. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, I know they're coming back, but like, my God, like it was anxiety inducing. And it just made it so much sweeter than when Professor X resurrects them and they like break out of these gross alien eggs and like come climbing to him, and he's like, to me, my X-Men. And that's how the entire thing starts too. It finally comes like full circle, and you're like, oh my God, I get it. And then off they go, and they're like, here we are, Mutantum's heroes. Like, everybody celebrate their sacrifice, and the whole community's like, yeah, mutant, woo!
Just big Matrix vibes going on.
Oh yeah,
where they're all partying in the tunnels of Zion and stuff.
Yeah, big Matrix vibes.
Oh man, Storm is just like Morpheus.
Yep.
Like, here is Wolverine, and what is he? Mutant.
I know you, my brother. Yes.
So good.
I really don't want this to fail. Like, I'm happy for them right now.
Right.
Like, you guys deserved it.
Yeah. It's them turned up to 11, like Cyclops' visor.
Oh my God.
And just fucking putting the dick hammer to the world. It's like, try to fuck with us.
Yeah.
Just try.
We always had the power to do this.
Yeah.
And we played by your rules, and you fucked us. So guess what? We're fucking back.
Oh boy.
That's right. And we're fucking by your rules.
I love the and I love the point where Emma Frost is actually, she's like the liaison for the whole mutantdom into like the political system for like the UN and stuff, and she goes in to like talk to a bunch of them, and she's already knows like, oh, these guys have already bent to like my will, like you all know you're buying this stuff already, they're just not saying it out loud right now. And it's just like, it's so great, so great.
Like, Emma, did you fuck with their mind? She's like, yeah, that's what I do. So what comes next after this? You excited?
I'm excited.
I know I dropped this on you because this Hellfire Gala popped up, and I was like, we're getting on that. Yes. Got so many outfits picked out. But, like, I have really been enjoying, like, getting into X-Men again and getting into good X-Men.
So good.
Where, like, I'm remembering how I felt when that happened. I remember I was on a camping trip with my family when the first issue came out. I went to the comic store on my way to go camping, and I was like, give me the first issue of HOXPOX. And he's like, we sold out. And I was like, what? Like, jokingly, but he was scared. He's like, we have a variant cover. And I'm like, I'll take it for cover price. And I did. And I read it on the beach and got nothing out of it because you cannot have any distractions when you read this. But coming back to it now and knowing kind of what happens in the next couple of years, I'm like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
And it just makes me want to keep on reading.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's just going to end in this big old celebration, this big gaudy sex club, oh man.
Yeah. Oh boy. The one thing that spurred me a little bit the wrong way is when this was done. HOXPOX was the solid thing. Here you go. New start.
Yep.
Here we go. 40 new titles. It's like, oh! So I'm glad we're far enough removed now that you can get like a curated list of like this is important.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where our friend Dayspring comes in from Powers of X-Men because I don't know. I read everything for like 4 months after this, and it was very hit or miss. So we're gonna chat with him about kind of a curated list. In fact, let me get him on the psychic horn right now.
Sweet deal.
All right, let me get on here. All right, so what can we look for? Dayspring? It's still connecting. Hold on.
With our powers combined.
All right, get in there. Okay, we got him. All right, can you hear me? Yes. So, moving forward, post HOXPOX, what should we read? What do we do with this?
What do we do now that we've done this?
Yeah, so we're gonna move through Hickman's X-Men. We're going to touch on X of Swords, and then we're gonna wrap it up at the gala. Which I don't want to spoil anything, but I think there's some big shakeups happening. I've heard rumors of a trial of Magneto.
Woo, look out.
What do we need to know going forward? What's good? What's not? What do we need to fill in the whole picture? What do you got for us?
Huh? What? Oh, Emma, darling, you left me in the psychic waiting room. So I think definitely Hickman's X-Men. You guys already mentioned that. You're going to be reading that. That is a must read. I think that's where the main story is happening. I think you definitely need to be reading Marauders. That's all leading up to the Hellfire Gala, and it focuses on Kitty and Emma. Some of my personal favorites are X-Men Legends, which they're kind of going back and filling in the gaps with past stories. So you're going to get an answer to whether Adam X is the fourth Summers brother, for example. But then there's also books like Sword that are really innovative, and they're using characters like WizKid and Fabian Cortez who don't normally have a spotlight. But if you guys are going to be checking out Ten of Swords, then you definitely have to be reading Excalibur, because Tini Howard is an extraordinary writer, and she sort of paves the way for Ten of Swords. I think one of the books that is definitely a must-read is going to be Way of X, which sees Nightcrawler trying to establish a mutant culture. And characters like Dazzler are going to play a huge role in that. And it sort of sets you up with understanding the mutants' perspective as being able to resurrect in a world of humans and how they're sort of approaching that.
All right, thank you for that. And viewers, stay tuned. We've got more X-Mania that we're going to forge forward into the future. As we said, we're the future, Charles, not them. Before our end stop is the Hellfire Gala itself. So if you're mutant and proud like the rest of us here, share your thoughts, photos, videos, whatever you want. You can join us on our upcoming episode. This is your formal gala invite. Just be sure to tag us, hashtag IMPERIUS REX men, and act quick. The guest list is steadily growing, so RSVP soon. Is there any stone left unturned after that? Several, yes. I know. But any final thoughts before we push forward?
Just that it's a solid start.
Yes.
And a solid, exciting start as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's the most... And it's weird to say it's the most interesting thing you'll get out of X-Men, because, like, they can do different things. There's Beak and Zorn and all of these things. But, like, this is, like, story-wise, one of the most interesting things you're going to get out of all, like, superhero big comic books.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Yep.
And I think you could go in with a relatively low knowledge of X-Men.
Yeah.
You'd have to Google some things, but if you, like, watched the cartoon growing up, I feel like that would be enough to get you started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me, a person who doesn't like them very much,
Yep.
wasn't lost hardly at all.
Mm-hmm.
No.
A few things, maybe here or there, but the book gives everything to you and withholds when it needs to. So if you would like to join this conversation maybe a bit early or off the clock, we have a Patreon that you may also join to keep this conversation going. Not
Towards
only,
the future.
That's right. Not only is it a
Fight the
full-on...
future. Nope, that's X-Files.
Not only is it a full-on conversation you can have in our Discord, but we also have a bunch of other perks for other tier levels as well.
That's right. Get yourself one of them bottle openers.
That's right.
Among other things.
We got them
Friendship.
strewn across this room everywhere.
That's right.
there's also friendship involved and coloring pages. It's all there.
It's
Yeah.
everything.
Also, leave in your comments down below. What do you think of X-Men? What do you think of HOXPOX when it blew the doors off the X-Men game 2 years ago? And are you still on it? Are you still in the X-Men? Let us know in the comments down below. But until next time, I have been Troy to the max extreme.
I've
Go.
been... Fuck!
Ghost Hunter Dave.
Dinosaur Neil!
And we have been the Imperious Rex Men. We'll see you next time for more X-Men. Goodbye.
Rexman.
Rexman. Hold on. It's one ball.
Just sit on it.
That's the problem.
Oh, God. Okay. There's too much good stuff. Too many big ideas.
Did I say something wrong there?
No, I'm just thinking of Hickman going up to their Marvel's whiteboard and being like, nope, erasing it, and then drawing a big circular chart.
Yes. And everyone being like, is this good? Do we like this?